Welcome to Happy Homes and Gardens. I'm your host. My name is Daphne Royce. I am a Rose Broker, architecture and interior designer. Hover is a drone delivery company based in Canada that has successfully delivered food, groceries, and cannabis to various islands for nearly 2 years. Hover is coming to US soon, and we are very excited to have this opportunity to introduce Hover to the US audience. Let's welcome Cameron Rowe, the founder and CEO of Hover. How are you, Cameron?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Daphne. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Please tell us who you are and what your company does.
Certainly. So my name is Cameron Rowe. I'm the founder and CEO of Hover. We're an autonomous drone delivery company providing pretty much anything that you would like under 10 pounds or roughly 5 kilograms via drone right to your backyard, balcony, or place of work.
Can you tell us about your drones?
Yeah, certainly. So the actual drones that are doing the deliveries are not too far off from some of the sort of typical drones that we see people that are common with called quadcopters that many people may have a version of them as a toy. The drones that we use are the upgraded versions of those. They're not that much bigger, but roughly half the size of a dinner table, for example, is one of them, and some of them are smaller as well, depending on the payload requirements. The main ones that we use are not very big at all, and they're able to conduct deliveries within a 5-mile radius, as I mentioned, up to about 5 kilograms, which for most people in their last mile orders that they're getting to their house, most of the deliveries are under that weight threshold.
And I know you already have a business in Canada. What will you do differently in US market than the Canada market? Which states will receive the first services?
We're really excited about this. The American market is one that everyone is very forward focused, and I think that because we had grown up and lived in Canada for a long time, it was an easy place and it made sense for us starting out. And as we're starting to expand, we're looking at first California and Florida as our sort of beachhead grounds, so to speak, and that's a bit of a pun as well, because a lot of our deliveries that we do within the Canadian airspace are done to islands that aren't necessarily connected directly to land. And so this is something that's a little bit different, where we're doing these deliveries on land to other places where, even though they are accessible by car, it is something that we found it's much more efficient, cheaper, as well as faster to do the deliveries via our drones.
Will you consider San Francisco?
Yes, absolutely. I'm currently spending a lot of time here, not only helping meet people who can potentially grow the business, but as well trying to understand a little bit more about the market and where exactly it would be most optimal in order to launch our service first.
You mentioned earlier the drone could be as big as a table size.
The table that I'm at is a little bit smaller, so it's that would include sort of the propeller length. I would say it would be no more than 3 feet across for some of the smaller ones, and then it depends on if you would like to do heavier deliveries. There are larger drones, but right now we're really focused on the smaller sized drones that are doing these small last mile deliveries that are light, that can move really rapidly, and it also means that they're much less expensive than some of these larger drones. So we're really focused on ensuring that it's a cost-effective solution, so that if you wanted to have this delivered to your backyard, for example, you're not having to have this large aircraft do the delivery. It's quite a small aircraft. And so there's a lot of variables involved, obviously, but we're really, really excited because we've demonstrated with several thousand deliveries already that this is something that not only people want, but it's economically viable as well.
Will your drone create a lot of noise?
No, this is a very common question. We're really focused on minimizing any potential disturbance that the drones might create. We've done extensive testing on when the drone is taking off, when it is hovering. And so the way that our system works is it will hover and lower the package via a winch, which means that the drone is in the air above the ground. So potential disturbances are minimized. And we've done actual measuring of that noise using sound readers, and it's not more than an aircraft. In fact, most of the time actually passing aircraft is louder than the drone hovering. And so this is something that we're really working to minimize to ensure that there isn't any disturbances for people. And there are also ways that we're looking at to further reduce that, so it isn't noticeable when you're inside, and it would be barely noticeable when you would be outside enjoying your time on your property.
I believe what you do will be our feature. Do you foresee that we're going to have air traffic with all the drones? And how do you navigate that?
That's an excellent question. That is a very, very important aspect of what we're trying to do. As I mentioned, not only we're trying to minimize disturbances, but that also involves safety. We really, really have been taking this as the most important aspect of the business, ensuring that even if uh, even if there are issues that we see, we're not proceeding until those are solved. And so what we've noticed as well is that this process has really helped to develop a robust system that minimizes and almost eliminates any of the concerns that people have. We are really, really cognizant of the fact that safety is the first priority. And so one of the ways that we have that focused on is having onboard detect and avoid systems, which can confidently say where other drones are when that happens, even though we're in the early days of that and there's not very many drones, as well as complying with all of the federal regulations regarding drones and ensuring that, again, we're not disturbing people, because we want it to be a safe and non-disruptive service that people can get, so that even if they're getting it, their neighbors aren't frustrated by the use of it, ensuring that there's no cameras that are facing other people's properties. The data that we're collecting is just to ensure that the delivery is done safely and it does not infringe on anyone's privacy at all.
I think we will avoid a lot of watch pirates by using your services. How precise can your drone deliver products to a safe location?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a number of sort of different things involved with that. It depends on where you are. If you're in an area where there's lots of trees or overhead wires, it's a little bit more difficult for us to do deliveries there. It doesn't mean that we can't do that, but it may require input in terms of you taking pictures or a video of the spot that you'd like it to land at. There are a lot of variables involved with this, but we believe that simply by delivering it within the confined area of a backyard, for example, you're eliminating the actual uh, individuals who might want to steal these packages from knowing that there is a package there. And so this is a big, big minimizer of risk, where even if you're not home, you can still have the package and know that it's on your back porch and nobody's touched it. And so that's a really big part for us, is trying to say, how can we make this easy for the potential customers? And whether that's with a food delivery order in which we let you know where it is and a front driveway, or a package to your backyard as well.
How would you see wires? I can understand the trees is easier to be visible, but wires, would they have some kind of sensors to detect that?
This would be where the customer would help as well. There are multiple ways for us to do this. Having a safe landing spot isn't as simple as sort of saying, hey, please deliver it to my backyard. It's much easier to have the customer let us know through sending in a photo or a video of where they believe it's clear. So this again goes back to what we were mentioning, ensuring the safety. Whereas when we have the customers participating in it, if they're receiving the delivery, they know their property best, and they know the area where not only they want it, but that is best for them. And so we try to accommodate each of the customers' requests within sort of the flight plan that we create. And once that's created, it is completely repeatable and autonomous, and all future deliveries will go to that exact same spot within a very small deviation.
Are you concerned about people intercepting your deliveries in transit, or possible that package might drop off from the drones?
We've done a lot of testing to prevent the packages from dropping off and interception. That hasn't ever been something that has happened. We're aware that this is sometimes people will think, hey, maybe somebody's going to try to harm the drone, but the drones are flying fast and at an altitude where it's very difficult to do so. And again, there are safety systems on board. So if there are other drones that are in the way, we're able to safely move around them. And then if there's any potential issue with the order, the drone can simply return back to where it had taken off, and an order can be resent at a later time. to ensure that there's nothing that is going to potentially drop the order or intercept the drone.
Everything sounds great. Do customers pay more to use drone delivery versus as compared to standard human delivery services?
That's a great question. And it's actually less. And this goes into a little bit more about sort of how typical food delivery marketplaces and delivery marketplaces in general operate, where they're quite expensive in order to support not only the actual platform and the cost of the people running that, you also have the delivery drivers, cost for them to operate their vehicle. And so the days of somebody driving across town in a 2-ton vehicle to deliver a 5-pound meal are coming to an end. We think that not only is that inefficient, but the delivery drivers themselves want to be paid as much as they can. There's tips involved, which can get frustrating for the customers. And all of these expectations and dynamics that we're hoping to change, as well, the restaurants are frustrated because they're paying out a large percentage of the revenue they make on the order to the food delivery application. So they simply increase prices. And so this has a negative effect for the customer because they're paying more for a service that isn't very efficient or effective. And so we're trying to reduce some of those frictions, not only from a cost standpoint, but all around improve the quality of life for the restaurants who are delivering this, and then as well focus on retraining some of the drivers so that they can help build, fly, and manage some of these autonomous drones as well, so that they're not necessarily losing the jobs, but there are more jobs that are being created as a result of this automation because more deliveries can be serviced at once.
That's great. It's a win-win situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't require tips.
No, we would obviously have the ability if you wanted to tip the restaurant, for example, but the drones don't require any tips.
Okay. I
They're
love
quite happy. They're quite happy to do this 24 hours a day, all day long as there's people ordering the product.
Okay, that sounds great. I love how sustainable your delivery service is. It will cut down on traffic and pollution. Will you consider bigger drones going forward for large deliveries?
Absolutely. There are a different set of regulations, though, for larger drones as they're starting to fall into different sort of classes of aircraft. We're really focused on the smallest ones that can safely deliver a package roughly within the 5 to 10 pound mark, because that is the almost efficient and optimum sort of range in which not only do customers want those deliveries, but we don't need to have a larger package size. So this is something that if that's something that was needed in the future, we would absolutely look into it. But as of right now, we're really focused on sort of these smaller last mile deliveries.
On your website, you have a 15-minute service window in Canada. How fast do you anticipate your delivery will be in the US?
Yeah, absolutely. So it really will depend on the area. We definitely think that it'll be between 15 and 30 minutes, which is typically better than many of the existing food delivery timeframes. I think the thing that we want to focus on is not necessarily the speed, but it's the reliability. That if we're saying that because we can bypass traffic, if we're saying it's going to be there at 7:26, we can guarantee that it can be there within 60-second window of that because of the way that the drone flies. And so this is not the case with traffic because how unpredictable traffic is. You may be stuck, there may be delays getting to the restaurant. So there's all of these variables that we're starting to reduce by using the drones to be able to do this. And that's a really, really exciting prospect because it means that we're a more reliable, faster, and cheaper service. So all around, we're providing a better product for the consumers to be able to have their deliveries, which is just continuing to be on the rise. And we predict it will continue that trend in 2024.
Will you be able to deliver, for example, like San Francisco has a lots of high-rise buildings. Will you be able to do that in the different level of the buildings?
It depends if there would be a balcony. That isn't something that we've yet launched. It's something that we're actively working on. Balcony drone delivery is definitely something that we want to see happen. But a lot of that is going to be reliant on whether we can do this in a manner compliant with all of the federal regulations, as well as just ensuring that it's safe. Many of the deliveries that are done today are also done to houses, and so that's what we're going to be focusing on initially. However, there's opportunities for buildings to have specific drop locations, so it doesn't necessarily have to be right to a person's balcony or window. It could be to a location that is a minute or two down the elevator into the lobby where the individual is then able to get it. And this is then broaches the broader topic of automation, as many people are familiar with some of the sidewalk robots that do deliveries, and you can pair those two together in order to create this autonomous chain so that picking up products and delivering products within larger buildings that may not have an open airspace becomes something that is possible as well. So there's a lot of possibilities. We're right at the start, and this is what we're really excited on. Part of the reason we're working on this is to improve that efficiency and ensure that the customer is getting a better experience.
I understand a lot of new buildings, they have a common areas like open space. That would be the common location to drop off, right?
It makes sense, absolutely. And it's something that requires very, very little additional sort of change to the area. It can be something as small as a mailbox, up to these complex now, these Amazon QR codes that are popping up where individuals can get a QR code and it's in box 1C and there's this big wall, almost like sort of mailboxes or a safety deposit box. That's an option as well that we're looking into. It just depends on the location as well as what people want to order. Because if it's something more like food, we would want that to be something that they pick up in an urgent manner. But if it's packages, it can sit in sort of a mailbox for hours on end. So there's lots of different options available, and we're trying to stick specifically to the food one for now as we're seeing this change and expand. It's very, very exciting to see, and over the next coming years, it's definitely going to be something that is going to change the way that we receive and send packages.
Do people need an address to receive products from you? For example, can they receive in the public locations like parks or sidewalks?
Yeah, absolutely. Our technology allows it's a even in an environment in which there is no civic address, we can still conduct deliveries. So as I mentioned before, this would require a autonomous flight path to almost like a pin drop location. And so this is where some of the technology that we've been working on that we've received a provisional patent for is the ability to point your phone at the drone, have the drone come towards you. So even in environments where you may not have great cell signal or what we call GPS denied environments, the drone is still able to locate you within a very precise method so that even if you drop a pin, everybody kind of knows sometimes GPS can be unreliable. You might click one way, or when you're sharing a location, for example, it isn't exactly where you are. And so that's something that we're aware of. And for example, in parks where we had operated on the Toronto Islands, you had the ability to do that as well. So you're able to essentially drop a pin and have the delivery done very, very close to you. So you could realistically sit on the beach in a chair and have the delivery go down right next to you if that's what you would want it.
Can you tell us more about your technologies? That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a bunch of different technologies that are sort of working together. The hardware, obviously, in order to facilitate the actual flight. You also have very complex software that we've built that essentially enables autonomy on the drone, as well as the precise delivery location. There's an order platform management. We have a bunch of different technologies that are all working together to be able to conduct the delivery. Our goal is to make this as smooth as possible for the customer so that they're not worrying about any of the complexities of what the drone is doing or how it is flying. All they're concerned about is where and when they receive the package, and we're making sure that it's going to be hot and warm. So if it's a pizza, for example, the cheese could still be bubbling when you receive it. So it'll still be hot for you to enjoy with your friends and family.
Nice. How soon will you launch your services in San Francisco?
Currently, right now, I don't want to speak too much about it, but it will be soon. That's something that if you stay tuned with us on social media, we'll be posting actively and ensuring that we're keeping everyone up to date on what we're doing.
Okay. And what app do people need to access your services? And also, which is your website for people to contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we did initially was do just a text-based solution. And so that's going to be changing soon as we integrate within existing order management platforms for restaurants. So some of the most popular restaurants are companies that we're chatting with, and we're excited to see that work. It would require very little change for you as the customer. That's something that, again, I want to sort of wait to announce, but it will be something that is very, very clear. We will make sure we post about it extensively, not only on our website, but also on other social media channels as well.
Thank you very much, Cameron. It's great to learn this, and I'm excited for you as a company, Harvard, to come to US.
Thank you so much, Daphne. It was great chatting with you. I'm really excited as well.